In a cozy little cottage where sunlight streamed through a tiny window lived a young woman named Cinderella. Her days were a quiet rhythm of chores. She swept dusty floors, scrubbed stone steps until they shone, and washed clothes in a large wooden tub. With tired but gentle hands, she would iron the fancy dresses of her stepsisters, who often watched with mocking laughter as she brushed ashes from the fireplace. Her face smudged with soot, but her spirit unbroken. Her stepmother, a woman with a heart as cold as a winter stone, would point a stern finger, always demanding more work, more effort. But even in her loneliness, Cinderella found moments of peace. She would share crumbs with the little birds that chirped at her window, their sweet songs a balm to her soul. In the quiet evenings, she'd sit by the warm glow of the fireplace, humming softly to herself, dreaming of a world filled with kindness. The little mice who lived in the walls would peek out, their tiny eyes watching her, and she'd whisper her hopes to them, her only confidants. Every night, before she slept in her small attic room, Cinderella would gaze out the window at the glittering stars. She imagined herself in a beautiful gown, dancing at a grand ball, her heart swelling with a hope that refused to be extinguished. She would hold her late mother's old dress, a simple but cherished garment, and dream of a day when she would feel loved and truly belong. At sunrise, she'd sing along with her feathered friends, wiping away a stray tear, her belief in magic and a better life still shining brightly within her. One day, an electric buzz of excitement filled the kingdom. A royal messenger, dressed in splendid livery, announced a grand ball at the palace. The prince was searching for his bride, and every eligible maiden in the land was invited. The news sent villagers into a flurry of celebration. Cinderella watched from the window as her stepsisters squealed with delight, immediately beginning their frantic preparations. Her stepmother looked on with a proud smirk, ordering Cinderella to help them get ready while making it clear she was not to go. Still, a flicker of hope ignited in Cinderella's heart. "May I go too?" she asked shyly. Her stepmother and stepsisters only laughed. Undeterred, Cinderella retreated to her room and carefully began to repair her mother's old dress. With love and pride, she stitched the torn lace and added delicate ribbons, transforming the simple gown into something truly special. When she finally presented her finished work, a wave of jealousy washed over her stepsisters. In a fit of cruelty, they lunged at her, tearing the beautiful dress to shreds. They swept out of the house, laughing on their way to the ball, leaving Cinderella sobbing by the fireplace, her dreams shattered like the torn fabric around her. As her tears fell, sparkling in the dim firelight, a warm golden glow suddenly filled the room. Cinderella looked up in astonishment. Before her stood a woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile, her fairy godmother. "Don't cry, my child," she said softly. "You shall go to the ball." With a wave of her sparkling wand, a whirlwind of magic began. A pumpkin in the garden swelled and transformed into a magnificent, shimmering carriage. The little mice grew into 4 elegant white horses, and a friendly rat became a stately coachman. Then, with another flick of the wand, Cinderella's tattered rags dissolved into a breathtaking ball gown of starlight and silk. On her feet appeared a pair of delicate glass slippers that sparkled with every movement. As Cinderella stood in awe, her fairy godmother gave her one gentle warning. "Remember, my child," she cautioned, "this magic is powerful, but it will only last until midnight. At the final stroke of the clock, everything will return to as it was." With a grateful heart, Cinderella climbed into the carriage, her spirit soaring, and was whisked away to the royal palace. The palace was a vision of splendor. Thousands of lanterns cast a warm golden light over grand marble halls, and enchanting music drifted through the air. When Cinderella stepped out of her carriage, a hush fell over the crowd. Every head turned to admire her radiant beauty and grace. The prince, who had been politely greeting his guests, saw her from across the room and was instantly captivated. He walked towards her, his eyes filled with wonder, and asked for a dance. As they glided across the ballroom floor under the golden chandeliers, it felt as though they were the only 2 people in the world. They talked and laughed, completely lost in each other's company. The hours flew by like minutes, but then a sound pierced through the magical evening, the deep, resonant chime of the clock striking midnight. Panic filled Cinderella's eyes. "I must go," she whispered, pulling away from the prince's hand. She rushed out of the ballroom and down the grand staircase, leaving the bewildered prince behind. In her haste, one of her glass slippers slipped off her foot, left behind to glow in the moonlight. She leaped into her carriage just as the magic began to fade, her heart pounding as she raced back home. The very next day, the prince, unable to forget the mysterious girl who had stolen his heart, vowed to find her. He sent his royal guards throughout the entire kingdom, carrying the single, delicate glass slipper. They went from house to house, inviting every woman to try it on. The stepsisters, filled with arrogant confidence, shoved and pushed, trying desperately to force their feet into the tiny slipper. But it was no use. Just as the guards were about to leave, Cinderella shyly emerged from the shadows. Her stepmother scoffed and tried to send her away, but the captain of the guard insisted that everyone must be given a chance. With trembling grace, Cinderella sat down and slipped her foot into the glass slipper. It fit perfectly, shining on her foot as if it were made of pure starlight. At that moment, the prince, who had been following his guards, entered the room. He recognized her instantly, and pure joy lit up his face. Soon, wedding bells chimed across the kingdom, filling the air with music and happiness. Cinderella, dressed in a dazzling royal gown, stood at the altar beside her prince. Her fairy godmother watched from afar, a proud smile on her face. With a heart full of grace, Cinderella forgave her stepfamily, choosing to embrace a new life filled with love, not resentment. The villagers cheered as the happy couple rode through the kingdom in a shimmering carriage, waving to the joyous crowds. Her new life was everything she had ever dreamed of and more. She walked through the royal gardens, and friendly birds would still perch on her shoulder. She sang from the palace balcony at sunrise, her voice carrying on the gentle morning breeze. And at night, she and the prince would dance under the stars, their laughter echoing in the quiet gardens. Her days were filled with joy, kindness, and moments of quiet magic, a beautiful reminder that dreams really do come true, especially when you hold on to hope in your heart. And so, under a sky full of blessings, Cinderella and her prince lived happily ever after. Thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful story. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more magical tales. We'll see you next time.